Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never imagined the day my life would feel like it was unraveling in slow motion, all because of ambition and the woman I had trusted most. My name is Daniel. I'm 38, and I've been married to Emily for 12 years. From the outside, we seemed perfect. Friends envied us. A solid marriage, 2 kids, a comfortable home, and our careers humming along steadily. But like most people, I had no idea the cracks were forming right under my nose. It started subtly months before her promotion. Emily had always been competitive, but this time, something in her changed. She would come home, brushing past me in her tailored suits, tossing her bag on the couch with a little smirk, like she had a private joke she wasn't sharing. She laughed less at my stories and more at her own thoughts. I shrugged it off initially, telling myself she was stressed from work. But the tension in our home started building, invisible yet suffocating, like a storm waiting to break. Then came the day she got promoted to vice president. I thought I would feel proud, excited even. I had always supported her, helped her network, proofread her presentations, and celebrated her wins. Yet, when she told me over dinner, her eyes were sharp, almost gleaming, and her tone carried a subtle edge I hadn't heard before. "Daniel, I got the VP position today. Don't worry, you'll manage to keep your job while I handle the big leagues." She laughed, but the laugh didn't reach her eyes. I forced a smile. "That's amazing, Emily. I'm proud of you." She raised an eyebrow. "Proud? You should be. But let's be honest. Anyone could have taken your place. It's not like you're indispensable." I froze mid-bite, the fork trembling slightly in my hand. I laughed it off, but inside, something shifted. Her words weren't just teasing. They were sharp, deliberate. I felt a sting that echoed long after dinner ended. In the following days, Emily's behavior grew more blatant. She started mocking my opinions in front of friends, small remarks that cut deeper than any argument. "Oh, Daniel, you really think that idea matters?" she said once during a dinner with my colleague. Laughter erupted around the table. I forced a chuckle, but inside I felt invisible. Even at home, she began dismissing my input, turning to our kids and making them the audience of her clever quips at my expense. One evening, after she returned late from a board meeting, I confronted her gently. "Emily, have you noticed how tense things have been between us?" She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Tense? I think you're just sensitive, Daniel. Maybe it's time you stop taking yourself so seriously." I swallowed hard, trying to find the words that wouldn't make me sound weak. "It's not about sensitivity. It's about respect. I feel like you've been mocking me, undermining me." Her smile was cold this time. "Mocking? I'm just being honest. You need to learn that life isn't about coddling feelings. You're replaceable, remember?" Replaceable. The word echoed in my mind as if it had physically struck me. The man I had built a life with, shared dreams and late-night talks with, was now systematically erasing my worth in our home. I went to bed that night with my chest heavy, the quiet hum of the house punctuating the distance that had grown between us. Days turned into weeks. Every conversation with Emily felt like walking through a minefield. I tried to support her, to celebrate her victories, but even that was twisted into a competition. She would say things like, "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Maybe if you worked as hard as I do, you'd get it." Every compliment I gave her, every small gesture, was met with a flicker of annoyance, a subtle brush-off. One Friday, after she returned from a corporate gala, I found her scrolling through her phone on the couch, barely acknowledging my presence. I sat beside her cautiously. "Emily, can we talk for a minute?" She didn't look up. "About what?" "I'm busy decompressing. Work's exhausting, you know." I tried again, voice steady. "It's about us. I feel like we're drifting. I feel invisible." Her eyes finally met mine, icy and unyielding. "Invisible? Daniel, you were always replaceable. Maybe you just didn't realize it." And that was the moment the ground beneath me cracked completely. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I just sat there, stunned, as the weight of her words sank in. The woman I had loved, the woman I had supported without question, had decided my presence was inconsequential, not because of something I did, not because I had failed, but because she had chosen a new pedestal, one that left no room for me. I left the living room quietly, my mind racing, heart pounding. The house felt cold, unfamiliar, as if I were a ghost wandering through my own life. For the first time in years, I considered the unthinkable. Maybe the person I married was no longer the person beside me. And perhaps, just perhaps, this was the moment my life was about to change forever. I spent that night lying awake, the ceiling above me blurring into shadows of everything I thought I knew. I kept replaying Emily's words. Anyone could take your place. Every memory, every shared laugh, every late-night talk suddenly felt fragile, as if it had been nothing more than a veneer over a truth I had refused to see. By morning, I knew I had to face her, but not with pleading or anger. This was beyond reconciliation. I needed clarity, an understanding of where I stood, and whether this marriage had a future or if I had been living in a carefully constructed illusion. Over breakfast, I tried again, choosing my words carefully. Emily, we need to talk. Not about work, not about the kids, just us. She glanced up, sipping her coffee, lips curling into that half-smile I had learned to dread. Talk about what exactly? Don't you get it, Daniel? I've got bigger things to worry about than your feelings. My hands tightened around my mug. It's not about feelings. It's about respect. About us. Emily leaned back, eyes narrowing. Respect? You think respect matters when someone can be easily replaced? I've been pushing myself, Daniel. Maybe it's time you realize that some of us aren't content with mediocrity. Some of us aim higher. You just exist. Exist. Replaceable. Words that carve their own space inside me, sharp and undeniable. I realized then that no amount of conversation, no declaration of love or loyalty would change her perspective. Emily had shifted, and she had no intention of shifting back. I felt a strange calm wash over me, a clarity I hadn't felt in months. For too long, I had sought validation from someone who no longer valued me. For too long, I had tolerated humiliation disguised as ambition. The decision crystallized in my mind like ice forming over a dark pond. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't fight for a love that had quietly abandoned me. I would reclaim myself, piece by piece, starting with the boundaries she had long ignored. That afternoon, I asked her to sit with me. The kids were at school and the house was quiet, perfectly silent, as if the walls themselves were waiting to hear what would unfold. Emily, I've thought a lot about us. I began, voice steady, about the past few months, about what you said, about how I feel invisible and replaceable. I need to know, do you still want to be married? Her eyes flashed with something I hadn't seen before, irritation, surprise, maybe even guilt, but quickly masked by a shrug. Daniel, I don't know. I mean, yes, I love you, but I'm ambitious. I can't feel tied down. Not like this. That was it. The confession, unspoken yet clear. She wanted her world, her career, her social circle, but without the person who had built it alongside her. She wanted power and prestige without compromise, and I was the inconvenient reminder that someone had been in her shadow. I stood, letting my weight fall heavy in the quiet room. Then I think we both know the truth. I can't continue like this. Emily, I deserve someone who values me, not mocks me in subtle, cruel ways. She opened her mouth, perhaps to argue, but no words could repair the years of subtle contempt, the cumulative erosion of respect and intimacy. I'm leaving, I said, and this time I meant it. The next few weeks were a blur. I moved into a small apartment across town, took some time off work, and began rebuilding the life I had neglected while trying to maintain a facade of normalcy. Friends and family rallied around me, offering support I hadn't realized I'd missed. The shock of separation slowly faded into a strange, liberating clarity. I was free from the mockery and competition, free to be seen as myself again. Emily reached out once, days later, with a text that seemed innocent enough. Can we talk? I stared at my phone for a long moment, then deleted the message. Talking would only reopen the wounds. I had learned that some conversations weren't meant to mend. They were meant to remind you why you walked away. Months passed. I focused on work, my children, and myself. The fear, humiliation, and doubt that had haunted me faded. I met people who appreciated me, friends who valued my opinion, and slowly, the sense of invisibility lifted. I realized something profound. Her ambition didn't diminish my worth. Her mockery wasn't a reflection of my failures, but of her own insecurities and needs. Then one evening, a casual coffee meetup with a colleague led to a chance encounter with someone entirely unexpected. Julia, a project manager who exuded warmth, intelligence, and authenticity. Our conversation flowed naturally, full of laughter and shared stories. I caught myself feeling comfortable, appreciated, seen, emotions I hadn't realized I craved so desperately. I thought back to Emily, her sharp words, her cold smirk when she first mocked me, and I understood something that had eluded me for too long. Life was too short to live under someone else's shadow, to seek approval from those who didn't value you. I had been replaceable in her eyes, but in my own, I was finally indispensable to myself. The story didn't end in bitterness or revenge. It ended in clarity and reclamation. I rebuilt my life with integrity, self-respect, and a renewed sense of purpose. And for the first time in years, I slept at night knowing that the void she left behind wasn't a loss. It was a space where my own life could finally thrive.